Shalom and welcome back to my home in the old city of Jerusalem. And when I started this channel, I told you that there would be surprises. And today I'm surprising even myself. I want to talk to you about Mother Teresa and my personal encounters with her. In 1979, which I believe was the year that she actually won the Nobel Peace Prize, I was in Calcutta. I went with my guru. At this point, this was my second trip to India, and I'd been living at the ashram for 9 years. And as a kind of reward, Mataji, my guru, an Indian woman from Bengal, or from Calcutta, really, she took me with her to India. And we were staying in we were staying in a certain place, and there was a woman there from England who was volunteering at the Mother Teresa's Home for the Dying. And I thought, wow, that would be an amazing thing to do. Go to Mother Teresa's Home for the Dying and volunteer for an afternoon. So I went. And you have to understand what Mother Teresa's work was. Her Home for the Dying was not an effort to cure people. She took people who were living and dying on the streets, and she took them into this place that was everything clean and crisp white sheets. And the nuns, in their white and blue saris, tended to these people, not in order to cure them, because most of them were beyond curing, but in order that Mother Teresa said that people, they lived like dogs, but they should die like angels. In other words, she was seeing their soul and felt that they need to die with dignity. You know, the Talmud says that the tzaddikim of all nations, meaning other peoples other than the Jewish people, the tzaddikim of all peoples have a place in the world to come. So I'm sure that Mother Teresa has a very high place in the world to come, because what I saw, I knew about her. I had read Malcolm Muggeridge's book about Mother Teresa. She really totally devoted her life to helping the poor people of Calcutta with nothing, and then in many other places with getting nothing in return. I mean, she ended up getting a lot of honor, and the money that came with all the awards she got, she gave to the poor. I think it was the only time in history that the Nobel Peace Prize did not have a great dinner associated with it. She said, skip the dinner and it's giving me the money to give to the poor. She fed like 15,000 people with the money that was going to go, that would have been used for that honorary dinner. Anyway, I went to Mother Teresa's Home for the Dying. And I saw people lying on beds with running sores, really disgusting things. And these Indian nuns, Indian Catholic nuns in their white saris with blue borders, nursing these people and taking care of them. There was really disgusting stuff. And there were signs on the walls that said, "Do it for Jesus' sake." And I was so impressed with that, because what it was saying is, it's possible to do something that is really hard for you and really disgusting and really and just transcend yourself for the sake of whom you believe to be God. We don't believe he's God, of course, but you can transcend yourself for a spiritual ideal, get over yourself. And I was very impressed with that. And I wanted to go back a second afternoon. My guru didn't let me, because she had among her devotees someone who was a movie director, and he had made one of these Bengali movies in those days. I don't know anything that's happened there in the last 40 years, but in those days, Bengali movies would go on for 3 hours and have 20 dance scenes and all maudlin, sentimental things. I should sit through this. He wanted to take her to a private screening of his latest movie, this director. And she wanted me to go with her. And I thought, no, I want to go to Mother Teresa's home for the dying. But my guru didn't let me. And this became a big issue in my life. And one of the reasons that eventually ended up me leaving the ashram. I tell about this in my book, God Winked. Here, there's a copy of God. Oh, there's a copy of God Winked. The first chapter of God Winked tells the story, tells about Mataji versus Mother Teresa. Anyway, subsequently, I don't remember this trip or the next trip, which was a couple years later. I went to India for a total of 4 times, but I wanted to see Mother Teresa again, and the opportunity arose when I think it was this trip because she was getting a lot of publicity, probably because she had just won the Nobel Peace Prize, and there was a midnight mass going on in her center there in Calcutta, not the Home for the Dying. There was a center where the nuns lived. So I went. I'm not sure, it wasn't the most kosher thing to do, but this was years before I became an observant Jew or even knew anything about how Jews are supposed to, what they should or shouldn't do. And so I went. And you had this film crew from a television station, one of the Scandinavian countries had sent this film crew to film Mother Teresa at this sacred time, midnight mass. And there she was. It was India, so there were no chairs. Everyone was sitting on the floor cross-legged. And there she was sitting against the wall, cross-legged, and here are the television crews looking at her. And I'm thinking, how can she not have some ego gratification that she is so famous and people are, wanting to, film her for television, how holy she is. Just as I was thinking that, she fell asleep right there on camera at midnight mass. She fell sound asleep. I mean, she had been up since they used to get up. All the nuns in her order got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So they would wash. They owned nothing but 2 saris. So they would wash one sari and wear the other sari, and they'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So she fell asleep, and I thought, wow, she really has no ego in this. She really, she wasn't posturing for the cameras. I was very impressed. So I forget when, maybe on some other occasion that I went there, I asked for, she was walking out of the things. I found her on the second story of that building, and I asked for her blessing. And she blessed me, and I felt it was a very, very significant thing. I have a picture that I took of her, my personal photo, my Kodak camera of Mother Teresa. I have it somewhere, but I didn't find it for today. So that was the second time I saw her. And the third time I saw her was at the United Nations. The United Nations was having some kind of a thing, some conference, and with all the different religions. So for Hinduism, the representative was my guru, Mataji, Sri Gayatri Devi. And for Christianity, the representative was Mother Teresa. And the hall was too packed. There wasn't enough room. I went with several people from the ashram and Mataji, of course, who was one of the speakers. And we got there, and there really wasn't room for us, Mataji's companions, in the main hall because it was only VIPs. So we were put in a separate room with closed circuit television connection so we could see the proceedings, even though we weren't in the same room. And after the conference was over, everybody spoke. The 5 representatives of the different religions, I have no remembrance of who the Jewish representative was, but they all came into the room where the people who hadn't gotten to be in the actual room where we were with the closed circuit television is like a booby prize, they'll come in and they'll meet us personally. And Mother Teresa came in and she greeted each person with a handshake. She stuck out her hand. And I remember when she clasped my hand and shook my hand and looked at me, I had this amazing feeling I'm the only person in the world for her at this moment. I mean, it only lasted maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds, but at that moment, I was the only person in the world for her. And throughout my life, I have met some very great people, and they have all had that in common, that when they're with you, you are the only person in the world for them. No matter how many other people are around, no matter how famous they are, no matter how big they are, you are the only person in the world for them. And so those were my encounters with Mother Teresa. And I just felt like sharing them with you today because, as the Talmud says, the righteous of all nations have a place in the world to come. And I'm very glad that the Catholic Church made her a saint, because she was a saint. And thank you very much for coming back to my YouTube channel. Okay, I have to